G'day guys, Craig here from Premier Dog Training. Now, recently I was asked to do a video on imprinting. Now, they asked me to do a video on why imprinting is so important and what it actually is. So what I'm going to do is I want to not talk about what I do during imprinting and how I imprint things. I just want to talk about, first of all, what science tells us about what the imprinting period is. And then I'm going to talk to you a bit about an analogy I like to use. Because as a lot of you guys know who have seen my videos before or been to my seminars, I really enjoy using analogies to get my point across. Now, when we talk about the brain, we talk about specifics and plastics in any animal. Now, the specific part of the brain is things you can't change, and the plastic part of the brain is things that you can maneuver and change and you can make operate in a certain way. And what makes the dog beautiful is that it has a highly plastic brain. It's very easy for us to work with. And when you compare it to their relatives, like I did a lot of work with dingoes, they have a much more specific brain. Obviously dependent on how much dingo blood they have. Here on the mainland, we have a varying degree of how much pure dingo blood is in each dingo. But they have a much more specific brain, meaning that it's more difficult to do certain things with them. The domestic dog has such a plastic brain, which is perfect for us to work with. So it's important for us to capitalize on that as best we can. Now, the best chance you've got to capitalize on that plastic brain is during the first 16 weeks. Now, we know this because MRI studies have shown that a puppy's brain, when it's born, isn't fully developed. Now, they showed that a puppy's brain compared to an adult brain was very different in the grey matter. Now, that's the cortex. The cortex was still growing, which meant that during that 16-week-old period, we as puppy owners have a huge opportunity to decide how those neuro pathways are going to develop. And we can have a big effect on what happens inside that cortex and what that cortex holds. Now, they showed that by 16 weeks, the MRIs of a puppy's brain was now matching that of an adult dog. So after 16 weeks, that's when that's fully developed. Now, this isn't saying you need to go out and teach a dog a full obedience routine within that first 16 weeks. But while it's growing, why not make the best of it and plant some things there that are going to help you later on down the track. Now, the analogy that I like to use is farming or a veggie patch. So if you imagine that the cortex is your veggie patch, now that's an area that you've got growing. It's starting to develop. It's starting to be beautiful, fresh area for you to plant your veggies. Now, that 16-week period where it's just starting to grow is the best time to get in there and plant your seeds, because if you don't, you're going to get weeds. You're going to end up with weeds and bugs and critters in there that you don't want there that are going to affect your future harvest. You don't want to have to get in there and clear all that later on. If you can get in there now, plant your seeds, and protect your seeds from those things, then you're going to have a much better harvest in the future and a much easier ride throughout the life of that puppy. So you need to know what you want to plant, and that'll be not only specific to what you want to do, it'll also be specific to the breed and to the line of dog you've got. Now, it's important you do your research and understand the line of dog you've got, the breed of dog you've got, because if you don't, then you might miss your chance to overcome things that are a common problem in the breed. And that little period there is your opportunity to do so. So knowing what to plant will come down to knowing your breed and knowing what you want to achieve from your harvest. Again, knowing your breed will also help with when to plant. You need to know when to plant these things and how to plant these things. If you do it wrong, then you're going to have troubles. If you were to put in, let's say you put in plants that require you to put them in an inch deep, you push those 6 inches deep, they're never going to grow well. If they need light watering and you flood them, they're never going to grow well. So the same thing, if you've got that 16-week period where you need to just do a little bit of exposure with your puppy and you go overboard, you're going to ruin it. So it's important to know how to plant things on top of what to plant and when to plant. So you have different periods. There's a maternal imprinting period, which is the first 24 hours. You have the interaction, the play in with its imprinting amongst its brothers and sisters from 3 weeks through to about the 7 or 8 week period. Then you've got, me personally, I take puppies at the 7 to 8 week period. I know there are some guys out there who swear on taking them earlier, some guys who take them later. the advantage of taking them earlier is sometimes you can take away some of the imprinting they're going to take from their brothers and sisters that might affect what you want in a future dog. But the advantage of leaving them there could be that they have a bit more social development with their brothers and sisters as far as bite inhibition and things like this go. Also, they learn a lot of sexual behaviours and things early on, and sexual roles that they learn early on. So sometimes you can affect the puppy by taking it away too early, and at the same time you can affect the puppy definitely by taking it away too late. There are periods of time that the puppy is susceptible to certain types of imprinting. Now, as I said before, this video isn't going to be about how I imprint or when I imprint certain things or exactly what I do, or what's going on at what stages. This is just why it's so important to make the best of that 16-week period and what that 16-week period is, and my outlook on that, on imprinting. Now, this is purely just my outlook and my opinion and the metaphor I've chosen to use. I like the metaphor of gardening. I mean, everyone has done a veggie patch at some point, and you all know how hard it is once you've wrecked it. Once you've got weeds and everything growing through it, and you've wasted your money, you've wasted your effort on all those vegetables you've put in. But if you plough it right, get it right, fertilise it right, do everything right, and plant it at the right time, you've got beautiful veggies. You're enjoying beautiful, fresh veggies on a daily basis, right? So your harvest will depend on what you do during this period. So the long and short of it is, guys, if you've got a new puppy or you're getting a new puppy, be prepared to roll up those sleeves and start planting, because otherwise you're going to get overrun with weeds. You're going to be calling someone like myself in, another trainer. We're going to be in there having to try and pull weeds out and get to all that work so that you can get back in there and try and plant some seeds, and you may lose that opportunity. So get out there, get planting, make sure you don't waste that imprinting period, guys. Stay tuned and we'll see you soon.